I would like to share a piece of writing that was submitted by one of the participants in the SAVE program in Course 3, and I have the author's permission to do this. Course 3 of the SAVE program is focusing on the second aspect of the three principal aspects of the path, which is bodhicitta. And this particular week, this response was a reflection on remembering the kindness of our mothers. And when I read this, it actually stopped me in my tracks, and I had to sort of go outside and take a walk and sort of recalibrate myself, because it was so powerful. So I hope I can get through this, because it takes my breath away. So she starts off by saying, the topic this week brought up some old memories for me and gave me an opportunity to look at the situations again in a new light, the light of the Dharma. I appreciate that. I never knew my mother because she died when I was born. Essentially, she bled to death because of our uterine tumor that could have been removed. The procedure was fairly common even in 1952, but as with all surgery, there was a risk of injury to the fetus in her womb, me, and such was her love for me that she didn't want to take that risk, even knowing that she would die if she didn't. Also, she was a fundamentalist Christian who believed that God would take care of her, and if it was His will to call her home, she would die. When I was born, there were already two older sisters, aged 6 and 11, and a brother aged 20, married and gone from home in my family. My father was unable to care for my two sisters and a newborn baby, so I was given to my aunt and uncle, my mother's younger sister and her husband, to care for. I won't go into the details about the rest of my childhood, but I was very fortunate that they took me in, because they were very loving and kind parents. Apparently, I was a spoiled and difficult child, and there were probably times they wished they had never agreed to take me. But they were always there, even in my adulthood, until their deaths, loving and caring. My life was a little unusual after that, with lots of moving around, but it was generally a happy life. Many times I've wondered how my life would have been different if my mother had lived. With the discussions this week, I've been thinking about that again, wondering what kind of mother she would have been, and all the kind things she would have done for me. Unfortunately, I'll never know. I've never been a mother, so I don't know what it's like to love someone so much that you would give your life for them. But I think that's the way most mothers feel about their children. I'm sure there is some survival of the species instinct involved in it somewhere, but there's also a lot of kindness and compassion that must be beyond mere survival. I can't imagine what kind of karma I created that resulted in my being born to a mother who would shortly die, but however tragic my life started out to be, it's worked out okay, and I've been blessed to find the Dharma. So that is a very, very striking story. And I think it just attests to what people will do. I mean, this is in my opinion, this is the ultimate sacrifice. And I was just trying to imagine what was going through this mother's mind as she was, heading towards delivery date, and knowing there was this choice coming up. And when I read it like this letter, I think that she didn't struggle with this decision. I think it was very clear, and I look at my own mind and how I might have reflected on that choice, and would I have taken that route, with 2 children, well, 3 children and a husband, and knowing that you'll never see this little being that you're giving birth to. So I think most of us don't have this experience of having our mother die at our birth, but I think in remembering the kindness of our parents, whatever kind of job they did, they really experienced a lot of sacrifice to raise us. And just to reflect on what they did give up in doing that job. And I think it would really, I've read in some of these reflections for people in the SAVE program that they can remember the kindness of their parents, but they have trouble wanting to repay it. And so maybe if we look at what our parents did as far as sacrifices, maybe that will sort of help that difficult place. In the case of my own parents, my mother had huge musical talent, and she was destined for a career on the stage as a concert pianist. And she decided to have kids instead, and I always asked her, what were you thinking when you had us kids? And she said it just wasn't really a problem. I mean, you know, when she was in her early 20s, I think there was a struggle, but then when she decided to get married and have kids, she said, this is what I wanted to do. There was no struggle. And in the case of my dad, you know, he went from being a wild man on horses to being a dad with a, you know, a job and working 6 days a week. And, you know, I don't really know if he liked that kind of choice, but he did it, you know, he did it. And so I think there's lots of things to think about with this story as a background to our parents and what they did for us, and just, you know, then having this aspiration to repay their kindness with whoever comes in front of us.